further warning has been issued over recalled heaters which pose a fire risk and could still be installed in Kiwi homes. A year since the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment issued recalls, it says it is aware of around 28,000 Serene S2068 heaters that are still in properties across the country, despite the recall and a prohibition to use notice. It added the heaters are a significant risk to lives and property. Around 16,000 heaters have been decommissioned by electricians or returned to the store where they were bought from. But NBC says over Christmas there were 2 fires because of these heaters, these Serene heaters. And as we get into the colder months and the known issues inside them get worse, it is approaching winter and there is concern that more fires could occur. NBC says it's worked with stakeholders such as master electricians to improve the information available around the recall, both to New Zealand households and to the electricians and suppliers who are undertaking the recall. Chief Executive of Master Electricians is Alex Vranyac-Wheeler, and she joins me now. Alex, good afternoon.
Hey Leah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I don't have a heater in my bathroom, so I definitely do not have a Serene. But there's still quite a few out there. I mean, they're saying could be 28,000 of these bathroom heaters. Alex, can you tell us, give us a bit of an overview about this and what specific issues led to this action?
Yeah, sure, Leah. I mean, there are a number of Serene products that are subject to a range of different recall notices, which adds to the confusion of the whole situation. These heaters, range of heaters, were brought into the country in 2017-ish by a company that is no longer in, it has been liquidated essentially, and has sort of fled the country. And so a number of wholesalers and suppliers who provided these heaters are now bearing the can, if you like, carrying the can of the cost of those, as are a number of our members and electrical contractors who may have installed those heaters. So the issue is that we've got a range of different heaters. Only one has been deemed electrically unsafe, which is the model that you referred to.
Yep, did I say it right?
And yes, you did. Yep. And those heaters are actually, 2068. Yep. Those heaters are actually illegal to use. So they haven't just been recalled. They're actually, if they're in your home, they are prohibited from use. So they're, those are the ones that we really need people to check and actually organise an electrical contractor to come in and install them.
Yeah, exactly.
The others are non-compliant with safety standards, but they have a low risk of being unsafe.
Oh, okay.
But the whole issue really is that these heaters came into the country. We sold hundreds of thousands of Serene products. The company that did so has up and left, and at the moment we've got wholesalers, suppliers, and electrical contractors really carrying the weight of that.
Yeah, trying hard to find them all. So Alex, the other Serene products, you said they are all non-compliant, but are they still able to be used, or would you recommend also uninstalling all Serene products?
No, well, the advice from WorkSafe that we've been using is that although they're non-compliant with safety standards, they're presenting a low risk of being unsafe. So, you can still use them, but you need to be really cautious and monitor the heater's performance.
Golly.
The question is, how did they come into the country and how did they pass testing? And I think that sort of leads to a bigger question or conversation, Leah, around the fact that we probably don't have the right enforcement that we need. And particularly that first heater that is prohibited from use. That one there initially passed testing and was deemed safe. It is a high-risk article, so it does need to go through quite a rigorous testing process, and WorkSafe needs to approve it for being used in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Now, what we think happened was that there was a change after the first test passed testing. There was a change to the makeup of that heater that caused all other batches, if you like, to be deemed unsafe and so non-compliant. So there was no sort of mandatory testing that happened after that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. What is the procedure, Alex? Oh, you've just mentioned it does get tested. So if I want to bring in a product, it has to obviously go through the rigorous, inspections, correct? Are you saying, are we laxed on the right enforcements?
I think we are. I think there is an element of testing that goes on for high risk articles, and manufacturers can either do that testing themselves or they can use an independent lab to do that testing. And all of that information goes to WorkSafe, who then makes a call on whether or not that particular product is electrically safe. Right. And if it is, it comes into the country, and it kind of relies on the manufacturer notifying if there is a change to the makeup of that product. And in this case, obviously that didn't occur. Yeah. There was there's no random testing that goes on, or there's no need to sort of random test batches as you go. And so I think that is a fault of the system. And I think that, we have got some work to do there. Yeah. I also think the other thing that we probably need to think about is we've got a number of reputable wholesalers and suppliers and manufacturers operating in New Zealand, but from time to time we do get overseas companies who come in and dump a whole lot of stock. And potentially for ones that aren't trusted or aren't known, we need to think about how we manage that, so that actually, the New Zealand public, the consumer, the electrical contractor, the wholesalers and suppliers aren't left carrying the can. Because in this situation, the cost we've estimated to be close to $500 million. What? That's the cost of this recall.
Oh my gosh. What?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, you're calling an electrician to come out, to uninstall the heater, to take it back to the wholesaler or supplier, negotiate another heater, and then pick up the heater and bring it back to you and install it. I mean, the hours involved in that are at least, 4 to 5 hours of the electrical contractor's time, let alone the heater that's had to be supplied at no cost from the wholesaler or supplier. Yes. And our industry's done the right thing. They are actively trying to remove these heaters. I think the sad thing is that Serene Industries has fled the country and would have otherwise been liable. To cover this cost. So we're advocating for the government to come to the party and potentially try and cover some of these costs, because it's a huge, huge cost on top of what is already a really struggling economy. We've got contractors struggling right now, and to have to bear this on top of that is just, is another calamity really. So.
Corey has texted in and said, I've got the 66 model. Is that safe to use? What you said, Alex, was all the other Serene models, although they're non-compliant, they're not recalled or illegal. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, the 27T and the 2069 are not compliant, but they are low risk.